last but not least, um, we're talking about procreating with these people, and first of all, man, I just, man, I feel for the people that done this, because once you have done this, right, but you're trying to practice no contact. Well, how can you practice no contact if you have a child together? Now, they've been exposed. You now know that they're a narcissist, sociopath, or whatever they are. You aren't together anymore. You live separate places, but you have a child. And we understand that us, the people who've done a lot of extensive research and, have a real hands-on experience with this, understand the importance of no contact. How does a person go on with their life still dealing with the psychological, mental damage that they have with this person, understanding how important no contact is, but you have a child or children in common? What advice would you give them, Samantha? We're using you as like a therapist right now. You're the therapist right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
What advice? Because that's a very stressful situation right there. You're trying to get over this person, but if the children are young, they're not like teenagers or something. You're going to have to communicate. Children need things going on in school. You both got to go to teachers conference. You have to see this person that has literally torn your life to shreds. Like, if they have children in common, what advice would you give that person to keep their sanity and have to deal with this person for the next 18 years?
Yeah, actually a close friend of mine, her cousin is going through that exact thing. And it's really hard because, children are impressionable, and you have two different parents sometimes saying conflicting things, and these kids don't know what to believe. What I've seen play out in a lot of these families is that oftentimes the sociopath will begin to display inconsistent behavior, or somehow their lies become revealed. And so sometimes the children start to clue in on that, and they're like, okay, well, Mom lied about this, and yet, I see this as evidence, yada, yada. And so sometimes the kids start to pick up on that stuff. The other thing I've seen, too, interestingly enough, is that when it gets to a point that the sociopath cannot benefit from the kids anymore, they start to show them their true selves. And then the kids start to want to spend more time with the normal parent, not the sociopath. And so sometimes it works out in that way, but that only typically happens when, say, that the sociopath is kind of lost in court and they only get, 10% of, child visitation and stuff like that. They realize that they've lost out. They're not going to gain financially from the situation anymore, and they really start to lose interest. Sometimes they up and leave. But when you have to deal with that sociopath and your children up until that point, it's very difficult. And so the best thing you can do is try to demonstrate your truth to your kids. Be consistent, obviously. Try to explain that your situation. And the other thing is try not to really involve your kids too much. I know a lot of parents drag their kids into their divorce a little bit too much in their lives. But when you're dealing with a sociopath, that person's really a dangerous person, and you can't really count on them to take care of the children. And so the best thing you can really do is prepare your kids and try to make sure that they know what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. If they ever are in need, to give you a call. If they don't feel safe at any point, to also call the authorities, go to a neighbor's house, things like that as well, too. But to really keep things surface level and trivial with the sociopath. You don't communicate with them. When you have to pick them up, pick the kids up at the door, keep it really short, brief, pick up your kids and go. And that's it. And no communication in between that time. But you're going to have to be aware of the fact that they're going to try to program the children with saying horrible things. And for example, my friend's cousin, she was at dinner with her children and her sociopathic soon-to-be ex-husband, and he was telling things like, oh, your mom grew up in a trailer, I saved her this and that. And the mom, she's like, that's not true at all. Like, what are you talking about? And the kids just thought that she was embarrassed, but this was truthful. And eventually the kids started to realize that their dad was inconsistent, and they kind of caught dad in his own lies. and they started to figure things out as well, too. So it's really kind of a waiting game until the sociopath really does give up and doesn't see you as beneficial anymore or somebody to use anymore.
Wow. Well, Samantha, I can't thank you enough for coming on here and really talking with us and, you know, our listeners and, like, you know, really getting to the root of some of this stuff. And, you know, I think these types of discussions can definitely help some people, even if you can save one person from this traumatic experience. It's so well worth it. And before you go, you know, is there any, like, social media, like, information or, you know, anything you want to leave for the people, anything you want to promote, anything you got going on?
Yeah, well, I do TV stuff in terms of, like, spiritual counseling, and I have some books published. I'm a published author, but those are kind of completely separate. If you're into those things, you can look up Samantha E. Harris, and I'm sure you'll find information on me. But, yeah, I have my YouTube channel, which is S.E. Harris 11, but it's SEHARRIS 11. And I do several things like how to be happy, how to take control of your life. You know, I try to make some motivational self-help videos once in a while, in addition to really random ADD-inspired videos where I just give life updates to people. But I try to make my videos fun and entertaining as well, too, so people can find me on there. And yeah, it's really a big flatter to me to be able to come and talk about this stuff because not a lot of people talk about this, and I've met so many people, and especially online, people have come forward to say, hey, you know, this information or this video really helped me in my life, or I was feeling suicidal and considering taking my life, and I saw your video, and it inspired me to push forward and to move on from this. And the key is really to put yourself first. Always love yourself. You know, if you don't love yourself enough, you can't love other people. And so when you don't love yourself enough, sometimes you attract unhealthy people who won't love you either. And so that's the biggest thing, is to really have the ripple effect. Start with yourself, fulfill yourself in your life, love yourself completely, and then you're going to draw in more positive, loving people that appreciate you for who you are. And you're going to draw in more like-minded individuals. And don't ever doubt that there isn't someone else out there for you. There is like a million fish in the sea, you know, billions to be exact. And so don't give up on yourself. Don't settle for less. And that's probably the biggest thing I'd like to instill in people, too, is that you deserve the best. And there's basic human rights and things that people deserve, and you deserve to be treated well and respected. And that's something we should all strive for in a relationship.
But, you know, the talking with you, I feel like I was just in a therapy session. You know,
wonderful.
I feel uplifted, and I feel like, you know, definitely, man. So I see why people, and how after having this discussion with you for just a little over an hour, I see why people gravitate towards you. You have that ability
thank you.
to draw people in, and, you know, you speak on facts. And, you know, I'm definitely going to be looking at more of your videos. It's definitely been a pleasure, man, and I think you deserve this.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, it's definitely a pleasure to talk with you both, and thanks for having me on. And always happy to talk further in the future, too, but I'm glad you guys are out of those situations, and hopefully we're all moving forward now, you know? Yeah. But, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, well, feel free to keep in touch, and I'll hopefully make some more videos. And if any of your listeners have questions, they can write me on my channel, well, too. It's the S.E. Harris 11 channel. And I always try to stay in touch with all my viewers and answer questions and messages as much as I can.
Great, and, you know, I'll stay in touch. You do the same. We have each other's emails and stuff. We will keep in touch, and we definitely get you back on the show. And you're just, you know, you're great. You're great. And I can't thank you enough for coming on. You're welcome back anytime on this Real Talk Radio.
Oh, thank you, too. It's my pleasure. You guys have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Good night.
All right.